Hey everybody, welcome back to Elysium. I wanted to get right into it. The next thing to know about in Vampire is how the turn sequence plays out. This explanation can get tricky because if I go too in-depth on all of your options, it's easy to forget where we are in the turn sequence, and you, the audience, begin to wonder if we're still talking about the same phase that I started 5 minutes ago. So I'm going to explain the phases of a turn and what is done with them. First of all, beginning of the game, you draw a hand of 7 cards. There is no draw phase in this game. When you play a card, after the effects are resolved, you immediately draw back up to 7. Any exceptions to this will be specified by the cards. There are some that'll tell you that you can't replace them until your next turn. We're not going to get into that right now. You got 7 cards. Now, there are 5 phases of the turn, and just like with Magic the Gathering, the first phase is the unlock phase. Exactly the same as untapping in Magic. You take your used minions and you get them ready for another turn. And that's it. That's the unlock phase. The second phase is called the master phase. Now, for you Magic players, imagine if in Magic the Gathering you had a phase where you, the Planeswalker, get a chance to contribute something to help your creatures, like directly. Well, that's what is happening in the master phase. You, the ancient Methuselah vampire puppet master, are procuring useful establishments and other resources to help your minions. You get 1 master phase action with which you can play a master card from your hand. If the card says Trifle in the text box, then your master action is refunded immediately after you play it. And then you can go on to play another master card. So from my hand here, we're going to look at a couple of master cards that I have. I'll get these out of the way. We've got Villain, which says Trifle. Put this card on a vampire you control who has any amount of blood and move 2 to 5 blood from that vampire to your pool. The reason why we attach it is because this card can change the effects of other types of cards. So I attach the Trifle to Kathy Glenn's, and I'll move 2 of her blood to my pool. So because that was a Trifle, I get another Master Phase action with which I'm going to play the Art Museum. Oh yeah, don't let me forget, occasionally a master card will have a cost. Not always, but in this case it does. This white diamond with the skull and the number, that's how many pool it's going to cost me to play this card. As you can see with Villain, there is no cost. So you just play it. And some master cards will be like that. You just play them. There's no cost. But sometimes there are. And this little white diamond tells you how many pool. Typically, when it comes to a master card, the cost is usually going to be in the form of pool. So I will spend the 2 pool to play it. So I played a Trifle, then I played a master card. If I had played Art Museum first, then I would not have been allowed to play Villain, because it would have used up my master phase action. You get 1 master phase action. So that's that for my master phase. The third phase is called the Minion Phase. Oh, let me draw, because I used up 2 cards, resolved them. So I'm going to draw 2 more cards to replace them immediately. Now the third phase is called the Minion Phase. Each of your unlocked minions can now perform an action. This will usually result in them becoming locked, aka tapped, if you prefer. Now, there are 2 actions that you do not need any card in order to perform: hunting and bleeding. So if you have no action cards in your hand, then you can always either hunt or bleed. This turn, we're not gonna worry about actions. What I would do is I would lock her to declare a hunt, so that she can try to get a blood token from the blood bank back onto her. The problem is, it's not that simple when you've got opponents. So I'm just going to leave off and say this is the phase where your vampires can do stuff. We're actually going to cover actions in the following video. For now, just know the minion phase is really where all the action happens, no pun intended. But it's the exciting part of your turn. There's actually a lot to say about actions, which is why I reserved it for a separate video. There's just too much ground to cover. But just know the minion phase is where your vampires do stuff. After the minion phase is the influence phase. So you know how in Magic the Gathering, you, the player, are only restrained by your land quantity, and it's replenished every turn. Well, in Vampire, you sacrifice your life tokens to bring in minions, and you don't get those tokens back. At least, not as part of your turn. There's no intrinsic mechanics by which you get those tokens back, but there are card effects that allow you to replenish your pool. But my point is that your minions are an investment. This happens in the influence phase. And the way it works is it's a little bit different at the beginning of the game. At the beginning of the game, the player who goes first in their influence phase, they get 1 transfer. The second player to go will get 2 transfers, and so on until the 4th player gets 4 transfer points, 4 transfers allowed. For the rest of the game, everybody will get 4 transfers in their influence phase. So that's why I kind of started making it look like we've got a little game in progress here. Because I want, let's say I've got 4 transfers. What can I do with a transfer? There are 3 things that you can do with your transfers. Number 1, you can use 1 transfer to move one of your pool onto one of your out-of-play vampires. And you could do that 4 times if you wanted. So, because these are out of play, I can look at them. His capacity is 4, so I need 4 tokens. So I would spend 2 transfers, and this vampire would enter play. And then I could spend the other 2 on this one. So I could spend 4 transfers that way, because once you reach the blood capacity on your out-of-play vampires, they come under your control. Now, the other thing you can do with your influence points is you can spend 2 of them to move 1 blood token from a vampire who's face down to your blood pool. Now, why would you ever want to do that? Why would you move blood away from vampires that you're trying to get under your control? For example, let's say I have the Enchant Kindred card in my hand, and I wanted this guy, he uses Enchant Kindred to transfer 2 blood from the blood bank onto this out-of-play vampire during the minion phase. Then I could burn 2 transfers to transfer 1 to my pool. See, that token came from the blood bank. Then I could burn the other 2 transfers to move the second token to my pool. And thus I have just gained 2 pool from the blood bank indirectly. And of course, I would draw to replace that card. But again, Enchant Kindred is an action, and we are not covering actions. But that's just an example of why you might want to transfer blood tokens from an out-of-play vampire to your pool, because maybe those blood tokens came from the bank and you're claiming them as is your right as the Methuselah. So yeah, now there's one more thing that you can do with your 4 transfers. If you spend all 4 and you burn 1 blood token, put it in the bank, you can transfer the top card of your crypt face down into your out-of-play area. That, and only that, is how you get vampires from the crypt to your out-of-play. You have to burn a blood token and spend all 4 transfers to get the top card available to you. So that's the 3 things you can do in the influence phase. 1 transfer to put one of your pool onto an uncontrolled vampire, or you can use 2 transfers to move a blood token from an out-of-play vampire to your pool, or you can use all 4 transfers to move a vampire out of your crypt, make it available for you to get control of, and you burn 1 blood token to do that. So that is the influence phase. And then last of all, the discard phase. This phase is to help you get rid of cards that you might not see any use for at the moment. So you can discard 1, and this just kind of gives you an option to get rid of junk and cycle through your deck and look for cards that you might need. And that's it. That is a full turn. Unlock, where you ready everything. Master phase, where you can play master cards. The minion phase, where your vampires and your other minions are able to perform actions. Then the influence phase, where you can move your pool tokens or blood tokens around as you see fit, or bring out more vampires from your crypt. And then the discard phase. Get rid of your junk cards and try to find the cards that you're looking for. That's the turn sequence. Now, in the next video, we're going to go more in depth into the types of actions you can perform. And performing actions often leads to combat, which is going to be the 4th and final video. Thank you all for watching.
Some nights we waited for something, and it never came. Hold it in, 'cause your tongue it's like poison, your tongue is a poison, I say. Oh, the lamps are shining into your eyes, you were 60 miles from here. Slowly sink in your wasty blue waters of ice to live again. And I think it's gonna be a while from the darkest light to shine.